Northlands, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, home of the Klondike Days Exposition. Among the displays, rides, and games of chance, this year's version of Klondike Days featured a new attraction, the 6th World Wheelchair Basketball Championships, the 1994 Gold Cup. From 12 countries on 5 continents, they came to Edmonton. They came to determine who would be recognized as the best in the world. They came to compete in a game of ability.
In the Second World War, many people were injured, and in the States, many of them had played basketball. And they were looking for a team event that they could play. They knew they could play table tennis and individual sports, but they wanted to get that camaraderie, that team spirit back they'd had in the Army or in the Air Force. And it grew from there. The NWBA National Wheelchair Basketball Association, I think, was formed in '49. And now they've got 150 teams in the USA. And, you know, we're playing the sport all over the world. If you think that people with disabilities normally are more disadvantaged, either in job opportunities or just the chance to meet with other people and get into teams, it's a crucial thing. And our sport is the only one for people who use wheelchairs or don't use wheelchairs but can't play stand-up games. At this level, we're talking international sport, but at club level, you're talking about many, many other things as well.
Ready, pivot! Good job!
In '72, I came to Canada. Coached the Olympic basketball team for 17 years until 1988. And the reason I'm here at the games is I am the honorary chairman, along with Rick Hansen. We're the co-chairman of the games, and I'm having a ball. The games are great basketball games, and for people who love basketball, they should see this, because you're going to see the same basketball strategy as you would see in stand-up ball or in the NBA. The best teams in the world are here. The best athletes in each country are here, and they are playing for a world championship. Europe has 3 or 4 representatives here. There are 20 teams in Europe that want to be. A lot of people, especially here in Canada, we don't realize that you have to fight to get to the World Cup. You got to fight to get to the Olympics. You got to fight to get to the Gold Cup. These teams have all fought to get here, and we're seeing the best wheelchair basketball players in the world right in Edmonton over these 10 days. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of wheelchair basketball. Still, when you first come back to a world championship like this, the first time you see 2 guys go flying out of their chairs, and you forget these are highly trained athletes, and flying out of your chair and having a chair dumped, and you go flying one way and the chair the other way, is the equivalent of a player falling down in basketball. That's the same thing. As soon as you get that clear, then it becomes a great part of the game.
The format of the 1994 Gold Cup featured round-robin play in 2 pools. In Pool A competition, Argentina, Japan, Sweden, the Netherlands, the host Canadian team, and the defending Gold Cup champions from France. In Pool B, Australia, Brazil, Germany, Spain, Great Britain, and the heavily favored Team USA. The top 2 teams from each pool would advance to medal round play. While most of the teams at the Gold Cup were the beneficiaries of government support and corporate sponsorship, for some, the journey to Edmonton was one of sacrifice.
Each of our clubs must care for itself. It is difficult to change teams. There are only 4 teams and they are of a very low quality. That is the problem. The government paid for our plane tickets here. We have had to pay for everything else ourselves. To get ready for the tournament, I have not worked for months, so I could train. I work for myself, and if I don't work, I don't get paid. The money I had saved up has all been spent.
The rules played in Gold Cup competition are basically the same as those used in the able-bodied Olympics or World Championships. The size of the court, height of the basket, and positioning of the foul and three-point lines are the same. There are, however, some differences.
3 seconds is the normal in stand-up basketball, the normal call. In wheelchair basketball, we're allowed in there 5 seconds. Now, the reason they give them the extra 2 seconds is because of the mobility. It's tougher to get out of there when people are banging into each other. The strategy is the same. The strategy is the same defensively, is if you're in the lane, my job is to keep you in there. I try and keep you in there so that we now take over the basketball. No basket, 5 second violation. Your job, of course, is to try and float in and out of that area, not attract the referee's attention, and stay in as long as possible, especially the big guys near the basket.
The chair is considered a part of the body in relation to charging, pushing, and blocking fouls. As well, there are rules governing the maximum size of the chair, wheels, and cushion, as well as the number and location of wheels.
It seems a little unusual the first time that you see this happening, but the rule is that traveling is really pushing the wheels 3 times. You're allowed to push the wheels twice, carry the ball in your lap, push the wheels twice, then you must either shoot the basketball, pass it, or dribble it again. There's no double dribble. I've seen guys go the length of the court with those 2 pushes. Right? As you get in complicated area, they usually only push it once, and they put the ball down. But I'm only allowed to push it the 2nd time. As soon as I push it the 3rd time, the call is traveling, and they take the ball away from me.
My name is Mark Shepard. I'm from the United States of America.
My name is Troy Sachs, and I'm from Bulgaria, Sydney, Australia.
My name is Guido Wimmers. I'm from Germany. I'm coming from Bonn.
My name is Iñaki Barreta. My country is Spain.
My name is Dave Brumley from England.
My name is Akio Okuhara. Team Japan.
My name is Peter Casas from Holland.
Hi, my name is Stephen Cade. I'm from Leeds, Yorkshire, representing Great Britain.
Mi nombre es Antonio Henares.
Wheelchair basketball attracts players with different levels of physical ability. To ensure competitive opportunities for all athletes, a point system has evolved that recognizes the physical abilities of players and assigns them a number. The classification points of the 5 players on the court is totaled and may not exceed 14 at any given time during play.
The wheelchair basketball player is classified into a point system, where the weaker player would be on a 1 point, a very weak player, and the strongish amputee, let's presume, it would be a 4.5 pointer. And the classifications try to give the 2 teams equal amount of player power. There is 14 points maximum the team can have on the court while they're playing. A player has a card, a classifying card. It would show where his legs are strapped, if they are strapped, for the referees to justify the strapping. And if, let's presume, an amputee, where his amputation is, and the points that is allocated to him are printed on there and registered with the officials. When I started playing basketball some years back, the teams tended to pick up the very able-bodied, very least physically disabled people into their team. And of course, teams try to win. And what happens to that is the very weak or the weakish players were left out. That is not the whole object of sports for the handicap. The classifications gives a chance for all variations of handicaps or wheelchair basketball athletes to take part in basketball. That's the main reason I would come here to this Gold Cup now, to be able to go back to the Middle East and the Mediterranean zone and enforce the proper classification for wheelchair basketball players so that the standard becomes worldwide.
Jürgen, aufpassen, was kommt hinten dort, schön auf dem Alter. Vamos!
The Gold Cup is truly an international event, a celebration of diversity. As unique as each of the individual players are the stories of how they came to play this game.
I had an accident at the age of 14. Fell out of a window, broke my back, cut my spinal cord. That left me paralyzed from the waist down.
Eu tive polio.
I contracted polio when I was 4 months old. I went through 8 operations. Fortunately, it did not advance to the point where I was totally incapacitated. The problem is only in my right leg. I can still get around and be involved in the community in Brazil.
I was involved in an automobile accident. I was a police officer in Northern California, and I was on my way home and nodded briefly at the wheel and went off the road.
It was polio, basically, which became a great problem in the late 1950s and early 60s. It took possession of me when I was 1 year old, and I have been in this condition ever since then.
It was a gunshot wound. My best friend and I were just playing with 2 guns, and it went off accidentally and it shot me in the back.
And the normal procedure when you have an accident of this kind is to go automatically to rehab. And what they try to do is to get you to take part in different sports. And I started playing basketball and fell in love with it from the age of 15.
O basquete surgiu na minha vida.
I watch television, and I used to see a lot of sports, especially basketball, which is one of the sports that attracted me most. I saw people playing wheelchair basketball on television, and I became very interested. As a result, I became involved with one of the local teams, and things just rolled on from there. And I still play today.
Actually, I got myself into the game pretty much. I'd been an athlete all along, and when I was injured, I was in the rehab hospital. I found a Sports and Spokes magazine and started thumbing through it and found out that there was a team about 100 miles away from me. So I got a ride down there and started to play with those boys and got bloody and tore off a few thumbnails, but realized that there was some fun, that being disabled didn't mean that you had to be bad. You could have a lot of fun anyway. So.
I always liked sports. I was playing some at the school I was going to, and a friend asked me if I would be interested in playing some wheelchair basketball. I said yes, definitely. That's how I got involved, and I've been playing ever since.
I didn't actually go for the spinal injuries unit. I went for a different hospital, and they didn't have much to do with wheelchair sports. It took a couple of years or 3 years later before I got introduced to wheelchair sports, and I started playing basketball then. And my love's been basketball, and I started training. This is where I've got.
Athletes compete on skis, skates, in bobsleds, on bicycles, and on horseback. In this sport, athletes compete in wheelchairs. Performance depends on the quality and maintenance of the chairs, and players look at their wheelchairs as athletic equipment.
My name is I.W.B.Delinquents, and I'm coming from Germany. My job is I'm a technician, mechanical engineer, and I had to look after the chairs. And I work also in a big wheelchair factory in Germany. We produce the sport wheelchairs, and we use the experience for the development of the wheelchairs. The main work is before the game, to prepare the chairs 100%, to look at the spokes, to look at the air of the tires, the steering wheels, the bearings, and so on. The advantage for me or for the factory is to see how the players handle the chairs. I can see something and my ideas I can give into the development. That's my job, to do this, to do the best for the players and yeah, for the whole team and for the factory too.
Yeah, I've seen some incredible changes in the sport. First of all, it's really difficult for me to, as a competitor and someone who's been involved in the sport, to come to a great world-class competition like this and be on the sidelines. You get those competitive juices going. You see a lot of your, your fellow countrymen and fellow competitors from other countries out there that you've worked with over the years. I'd love to be out there playing, but it's also nice to be out there in a new dimension promoting the sport and trying to encourage more people to buy into it. Before my accident, I was involved in almost every kind of sport. Basketball was one of my major sports. I just loved the sport. It was fantastic. And when I was hitchhiking home from a fishing trip, I got a ride in the back of a pickup truck with a friend of mine, and the guy went out of control around a corner on a washboard, flipped the truck, and sent me crashing to the ground and broke my back. So it shattered some personal dreams, and it was a little bit of time before I was able to start to realize that sport, as I knew it, could still exist. Instead of using my legs, I could sit down in a chair and use my arms. Team sport 20 years ago was not deep enough to be able to see 10 or 12 other guys doing the same thing beside you with the same level of commitment. So I was basically pushed into an individual sport, and I focused on wheelchair marathon. Through meeting a few key role models, I was inspired to take my athletic gift, being a world-class wheelchair marathoner, and apply it to what was considered to be an impossible dream of wheeling around the world in a wheelchair, to try to make people understand that really we all face barriers in our lives, but people with disabilities, if they have a lot of those barriers removed, there's undreamt of potential inside of each individual, and it's all relative, and so that became our symbolic challenge and the genesis of the Man in Motion Tour.
The 1994 edition of Team Canada was a team in transition, with 7 rookies to international competition on the squad. Entering the tournament, this young team was rated no better than 6th. In veteran Pat Griffin, however, they had one of the most complete players in the game today.
There's no doubt I've got a lot of experience now, so experience is always a good factor. I've got pretty good chair skills and speed, which helps, and depending on different teams, I've played on, I guess I'm fortunate in the sense that I've played on teams where I'm the point guard, quarterback if you will, and I've also been on teams where I'm I guess you could say a shooting guard or a shooting winger. So I bring a lot of different avenues depending on which group of guys I'm playing with. Height is not one of them though. The year prior to this Gold Cup tournament in Edmonton, I've been training 6 days a week, taking 1 day off, and that regimen would include road work, wheeling outside, getting in shape, sprints, things like that for about 3 days a week, and also doing gym work 3 days a week. The training regimen changes because you have to pace yourself as to what you're gearing up for and bring yourself back down, because you can't train. Some people will say, well, I train 7 days a week. Well, that might be true for a certain spurt of time, but you can't train 7 days a week for 8 or 10 years or whatever, because you'll just burn out.
With upsets, overtime thrillers, and game-winning buzzer beaters, the round-robin games proved to be a legitimate showcase of the sport and demonstrated why these athletes are considered the best in the world.
My manager gave me that name. He seen me play in what we have called as a Grand Prix, which was an all-star game in Australia. And I suppose the fire on the court comes from my father, because I have a brother and he's always taught me and my brother to play really hard together, and winning was everything he taught me and my brother. So, and we beat up on each other, which is just like brothers. The way I go out in the court, I have the attitude that the ball is mine, the court is mine, and I go out and play like that, and I play for my teammates and my country. I don't know what happens when I get on the court and see the ball. It's just, I suppose I change, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I suppose.
We have had some problems with changing the generations, but I think that we now have some new players that are prepared to take over. I'm always trying to do my very best. Sometimes it's not enough. And I also try to speak with the new ones and tell them what they should do. Right now there's about 50% young players and 50% old players. And the young players must take a step forward.
A lot of teams have physical therapists or physiotherapists with their teams. I mean a lot of the same trainers who travel all the time with the same team, and I really like it to be with a team I know, and I know the players. We think it's as important for me to be a member of the team and to know all the players, so that I know what kind of injuries they're prone to and what kind of difficulties they have. Shoulder-related injuries, elbows and wrists, and cervical spine injuries. I mean, not really injuries, but they have some kind of problems since they sit in their wheelchairs all the time and use their upper extremities, which is directly connected to the cervical spine with the muscles. It's very common they have problems in that area. I just assess them more the musculoskeletal system and get a feeling for the muscle tone, and usually they give me their own history. And we have a doctor with the team, which is very important, and he has the records.
It compares to any professional sport that you can imagine. Guys can handle the ball like Magic Johnson or shoot the ball, as well as any able-bodied player. Play good defense, display great fundamentals. The biggest thing for me was just learning how to maneuver the chair effectively. Anybody can get in the chair and push it, but to be effective at it, know what you're doing and why you're doing it, that was the hardest part. And it takes normally a couple of years or so to do that. It's good to be a little bit fast so that you can avoid a lot of these real physical players, but you get caught up in the grind a little bit. The coach that we have this year, Brad Hedrick, is really stressing a different type of basketball in which we attempt to create numerical superiority on offense and on defense, just to force teams into playing a half-court offensive game and to help out, play a lot of help defense. One of the things we try to do a lot of set back picks, which means we try to hold a defensive player in the back court and let our offense go down and set up, and then that player releases, and for that brief period, be it a second or so, we have a 5-on-4 advantage, and just try to keep the defense off balance and confused. My first international competition was the 1983 Gold Cup in Halifax.
Where the station, Reggie?
I was on the 1990 team in Belgium that lost the Gold Cup in France, to France rather, and you know that left a little bitter taste in my mouth. And then I wasn't on the team in '92 in Barcelona that won the gold medal and subsequently was stripped of it. That we have 2 or 3 guys from that team that are here, and so I mean the U.S. in general just feels that you know we need to reestablish what we feel is our superiority in the game. About my second year playing, one night in practice, I happened to repeatedly knock down or intercept passes attempted by one of my teammates, and he just made a comment actually saying, well, trying to throw the ball around him was like trying to throw the ball over a tree, and it just kind of stuck and it became my name.
The staging of the Gold Cup in Edmonton was realized with the support of government, business, and non-profit foundations. 2 of the major forces behind the Gold Cup were the Alberta Paraplegic Foundation and the Rick Hansen Man in Motion Foundation.
We raised $26 million for spinal cord injury. We raised a total of $23 million for a national fund, and another $3 million was a matching contribution by the government of Alberta, given here to the Alberta Paraplegic Foundation to be spent for people in Alberta. I'm very proud of the fact that it's a broad-based fund, so half of the fund is going and dedicated to spinal cord research. The other half is dedicated to rehabilitation of people with spinal cord injury. The money that we spend across the country in research goes to improving the areas of functional electrical stimulation, electrodes that help to fire paralyzed muscles in the hope that we can see one day them being used practically in a walking situation or to maintain general health, circulation, muscle mass, etc.
The system is designed for somebody with a spinal cord injury, which means that the spinal cord has been interrupted and does not carry the nerve impulses to the muscles. So basically it replaces the nerves and even the brain to a certain extent because that communication has been interrupted. So the computer in here will send a stimulus to the muscle groups that will cause the muscles to contract so that a cycling motion will take place. And it's all controlled with feedbacks to keep you pedaling at the right speed, and it controls the intensity of the stimulus.
I've been doing the ergospike here for about 3 weeks to a month, and I've been doing other FES therapies for about 2 months before that. Well, when I started, we could use the stimulation and I could barely kick my leg, whereas now we can use stimulation and I can stand up, and hopefully it'll get to the point where my legs will be strong enough again that I can walk with it. So it's getting there. Like I gotta fight with them now. So on a normal day, I've got really bad muscle spasticity, so it'll just tense up by itself. But after about a half an hour workout on here, they're pretty much jello. They're just spaghetti for about 3 hours. I've never seen anyone get more aggressive than wheelchair basketball players. Like really, and you get going that fast, it's dangerous. I'm more interested in trying out for sledge hockey, really. Looks like it's got a little bit of violence in it.
Wheelchair basketball, even at the World Championship level, is only an occasional spectator sport. While the game is the flagship event of disabled sport, has drawn capacity crowds at the Paralympics and at events in Europe, it remains undiscovered in North America. The round-robin games of the Gold Cup, not featuring the host Canadians, are seen by only the committed and the curious. Newcomers to the game invariably ask the same question: what's it like to be out there?
My name is I.W.B.Delinquents. I live in Germany. I was born in Turkey. I moved to Germany when I was 5. I tried lots of sports, but I found out that basketball is the sport for me. It is teamwork, and I like to play in a team. And we put a camera on the chair, and we had an interesting view on the court, so we see the moves. You have an order, you know, you're trying to play a system, and it's very difficult because you have to find your position and stay on this position, defend this position, or you try to defend the room that you have. And some of the guys are very tough, you know, you have to be very aggressive too, but on a fair way. It became a very fast game because the chairs, and we got new material, and the chairs are very light. So wheelchair basketball is a material sport. The material is important to play very well. We started to build up a new team 1.5 years ago because after Barcelona there were 3-4 players who left the team. They were very good, and so you try to build up a new one. We've learned a lot of. And we see that it's possible to play against teams like USA very well, but to lose against the Spanish team, which is, they are not bad, but we really had to win.
This team has been training together for about 14 months, so they gelled very quickly. They all had a common goal of making the Gold Cup team. They all had a common goal of being the best team they could be, and they've trained together quite a bit. We've had 4 games, and we've had 4 different top scorers, and that's really going to be the trademark of our program, is that everybody who wants to play at the elite level will give everything to the team and for the team, and because of that, there won't be a given star per se. There will be stars in certain games, and we'll ask certain athletes to step up and take charge, but they'll do it at different times and in different situations. Our strength is our commitment by 12 people to shut down the best players in the world, and we will have the best defensive team. And the nice thing about defense is we control that every day. You can't always control your offense, but you can always control your hard work and your dedication and your desire. And we're second to no one in the world in that area. I want to try to get the best possible matchups out there on the floor and give each player the best opportunity to be successful. I also want to play at a pace that will wear down the other teams. If you look at our record, we've played every team in the tournament better in the second half, and it's because that we've used more players. It makes everybody feel good when they know that, yeah, they're going to be a big part of the team. As we get closer to the end of the tournament, our bench will shorten a little bit, but it won't get to the point where we're playing 5 or 6 players. We'll always be playing the team against the other team, and that's our strength.
I think his strength is analyzing, the competition we're going to play, and he's very good at, I guess, coming up with strategies for us to implement and utilize against, an opposing team. We're coming into this tournament feeling that we're an underdog, and we want to make opposing players work harder than they want to, so that, hopefully good things will come, and even if we don't win, the team that has beaten us will know they've earned the win.
When you look at the other teams in the world, many teams have taller players, many teams have players that have more experience. Our biggest strength is our enthusiasm and love for the sport, and also our chair skills. And we want to play at a high pace, and because of that, you need to utilize more players. In wheelchair basketball in the past, you've normally seen 5 or 6 people playing on a particular team. and that there would be very limited subbing. But as the level of the game has risen, you're starting to see deeper and deeper benches. The difference between our 12th player and our first player is very small, so on any given day they can play.
The final day of round-robin competition saw the favored French and American teams with berths already secure in the medal round. On this day, their opponents would be determined in two important games. The surprising Canadian team was looking for a win over the perennial finalists from the Netherlands to secure a date with the U.S. In Pool B, Australia and Great Britain would meet head-to-head, the winner to face the French in the semi-finals.
I felt that we were in control of that whole game. I give all the credit to the Netherlands. They managed to bring the game back and tie us. And I was sitting on the bench and I had a towel in my hand just clenched, and I didn't think we were going to get a shot off and we were going to go to overtime. And I felt confident that we'd win in overtime, but even better that our captain hits a shot at the buzzer to win it. The biggest thing that it gave us was, number one, we don't have to go and qualify for the Olympics, where that win put us in the medal round and the top four teams don't have to qualify for the Olympics. And the second thing it did, it said, well, hey, maybe this coach knows what he's doing and our young team can do just as well as a lot of the other teams in the world too.
Of hours that go into an event like this are really difficult to estimate. It was very important to us that we could call on people who had the time to commit, because this is a 10-day competition, and with 5 games a day, we're out here at Northlands Coliseum almost 12 hours a day.
I've always known that we've had some really good volunteers, a very good voluntary base in Edmonton in terms of wheelchair sport or wheelchair basketball. With the Alberta Northern Lights Wheelchair Basketball Society, we had the sort of technical infrastructure to put on a tournament of this magnitude.
An event like this, what it really does is it penetrates all levels of the community to create awareness. First of all, you see people with disabilities in the front lines organizing this event, which shows that people with disabilities can pursue anything they want to at a world-class level if they're given an opportunity. You see the volunteers that are brought in that have never seen basketball before, and they're going to be excited. They're going to build networks and friends and associates that can be harnessed for a great number of years in the future to build basketball in the city of Edmonton, to continue to raise the profile of basketball in the country of Canada.
So what are you doing here?
I'm just a volunteer.
You're a volunteer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. I'm a hostess for Team France.
You guys are volunteers? We sure are. We're the Band-Aids.
I'm a primary host for Argentina.
What about you?
What about me? What
are you in charge of?
Brazil.
I pick the balls and stuff.
Basically, if they need to go somewhere, if they need translation, whatever they want, I guess.
One of the medical people, so I'm the therapist on filling water bottles and just making sure the team has everything that they need.
Just checking for tags.
I love wheelchair basketball. Great sport.
Good security for the whole thing, and no troublemakers, except for that guy right there.
The 1994 Gold Cup was a media event, as well as an athletic championship, with crews from as far away as the Netherlands reporting on the proceedings.
That's better. Yeah.
Have you found your form?
The 4 medal round games were broadcast live to over 2 million Canadian homes and taped for distribution around the world. Co-chairman Jack Donahue and Rick Hansen did double duty as commentators for the broadcast.
I always keep my father's advice in mind is not to quit my day job, but I've been liking it a lot. It's been fun. And when you like the sport, you get a chance to talk about it, and that's really what it's all about. And working with guys like John and Jack, John's a great play-by-play person. He also follows the sport and other sports a lot. So, and Jack lives, eats, and breathes basketball. So we have a nice combination between the three of us.
The first semi-final matched Great Britain with the defending Gold Cup champion from France. The French, led by the deft shooting and inside play of Philippe Baye, controlled the play for almost the entire game. And then, something happened.
And this would literally end the game if he makes it. I mean, not that Great Britain's going to give up. But if he makes this, now you're talking about 3 and 2. You've got to come up with 5 points. You don't have a 3-point shooter. You've got to make a 3-pointer, foul, make another basket. Or
maybe a bucket there because of a line violation. Is that the call?
It might be, yeah. All right, they got their 3. And they did it so quickly. They're right in it. We're in a man-to-man press. We're going to look at a quick foul.
Steal there by Simon Mudd, and couldn't get it. Gets his own rebound. Foul by Philippe Baye. What a turn of events.
What a game. Now, wait a minute.
Are they calling it intentional? No, this is something that we talked about a little bit earlier.
2 shots and the ball. Oh. Well, this is the key one. I mean, I don't know if I've seen this very well. Holy mackerel.
Critical miss. But they have an opportunity to win it now with the inbounds play. 8 seconds to go. France with a 1-point lead, 47-46. Steve Kane will handle the inbounds duties. And wide open is Dan Johnson. And gets it!
Oh! Unbelievable. Here we go.
And time is
and the ball back loose again.
What an outstanding finish.
The effort, you couldn't ask for anything more from these guys. They're incredible. I mean, we've come back from behind against Germany, we've come back against Spain, we've come back against Australia, and now France. It's just an incredible feeling.
Absolutely incredible. It's just out of this world. We've been waiting for this for 15 years, and we're finally there.
We've been in this situation before time and time again. We've been in some really, really close games. I think it's just because we wanted to win more, and it was our time. If we go by what the other teams have been saying, they think that God's an Englishman.
We are so exciting to see them there in the semi-final. They can do it. Big time. They are a great team. It's a great motivation for us to be there with the men's team, and all year long they just give us some support and everything. And Glenn, we will have our World Championships over there.
They head out, I don't.
Number 9, Chantal Benoit of Canada.
The second medal round game saw the Canadian team square off against the favored Americans. For Canada to triumph on this day, they must shut down the Americans' powerful inside game, led by Reggie Colton and Darryl Tree Waller.
Yeah, Reggie Colton, we went out there with a main task of shutting him down. We did a great job of that, but Slappy and Shepard, Trooper, they came up with big games, and so did Tree, Darryl Waller. So when you got 5 guys out there that are cooking like that, you can't shut them all down.
You know, coming into the game, I kept thinking they're going to pick on Darryl and they're going to pick on Reggie, and I had to open it up. And by opening it up from the outside, hopefully freed them up a little bit more inside. And that seemed to work. They were giving me the outside shot, and I'd hit a few in a row, and I kept thinking, man, somebody's got to come out and guard me soon. Play USA!
Actually, we were talking in the dressing room after the game. You don't feel quite as much when you get blown out and you get spanked as bad as we did last night, because I mean, the team was clearly a better team last night.
Here we go. This is the stand that goes with the medals. And wow. This is one of the gold medals as we take it out, and this is the first time that I've seen it with the ribbon on and in the presentation box. Very impressive. This is actually the front side of the medal. And they wanted a three-dimensional design and something that would be unique and sculptural in feel. We wanted something that people wouldn't put away in drawers when they were finished with the games, and that they would actually stand up on their mantles or on their desks. And we designed it so that it comes with its own little mounting stand, and the metal can sit in the stand there and be viewed from any place in the room. And I also wanted the idea that you could see through it to give it that sculptural feel and that ability to see beyond. And I think very often in wheelchair sports we tend to judge the players by the surface of what we see, the chairs and that sort of stuff, and not look beyond and see the individuals. And in a sense, the openness of the medal says, look through the medal and see the individual or the human being behind the medal.
Both the gold medal game and the bronze medal game featured rematches from round-robin play. France and Canada would do battle for the bronze. Earlier in the tournament, France had defeated Canada 57-49, a game that was much closer than the final score indicated. Canada entered the game knowing they had not defeated France in 18 years.
We really haven't had an exceptional offensive game yet, but our defense is fantastic. We're the best defensive team here, so I think if we can carry it over to offense, we'll be all right.
In the first half, we overwhelmed them for sure. Like they couldn't handle us in the first half, and we were on fire. Like we were on fire, and they were a little bit flat. We have a really young team. We have 6 guys on the team that have never played international basketball, and 6 guys that have. So half the team hasn't seen an international event yet. It's our first international event. To finish with a bronze is great.
We're just playing good, honest defense, not giving them anything extra that they could take, and just be right on them.
The gold medal matchup saw the United States face Great Britain. Although Team USA had proven throughout the tournament that it was the most talented in the field, Great Britain had shown itself to be a team of character and perhaps destiny.
I think the players themselves, we managed to find an ingredient within ourselves to bring us together, which is something we've never had before, and I think, you know, that's what's got us where we are now.
4 minutes, hard basketball, let's go!
We wanted to come in. If we were going to get beaten, we wanted to make the team that beat us elevate the game, and that was our goal. And I feel like we did that. I think we played at a level that was going to force someone to elevate the game internationally in order to beat us. So I'm very proud of the guys. They did a tremendous job. I coached probably quite a bit differently from some of the people they've worked for in the past and played for, and I think the way they've adapted to our system bodes well for their athleticism, and that they're just great young men.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some sacrifices that come with being a world champion. To have this moment is what I've dreamed about so many times, laying at home on the couch or laying in bed, just looking up at the ceiling with a basketball shooting at the ceiling. I've dreamed about this and waited on it for a long time.
Gotta get the nets down! Gotta get the nets down.
Bye.